Occupying 27,000 square kilometers in Uganda's semi-arid northeastern part, Karamoja region is an ecosystem in danger. Climate change and rainfall variability mean this region is prone to severe drought. The Karimojong semi-agro-pastoralists inhabit this water-scarce region of Uganda. Prolonged droughts have caused widespread hunger and thirst. The current drought is the worst since 2000. Loss of cattle, for example, emphasizes the scale of the disaster, and people have lost their source of livelihoods. Many areas have suffered as much as 4 consecutive failed harvests. Now, most families have to survive on less than 1 meal a day. Flash floods too have often submerged croplands. Almost 9 out of every 10 people are in need of outside help. Local officials say it's hard to fund and sustain their plans.
And of course, the sub-county always gets revenue through the market dues, and it has affected the budgeting of the sub-county. So now we cannot implement all our plans.
Almost 20% of their annual revenue comes from the crops these farmers sell. Yet, over 5% of this fraction is lost annually in the vagaries of weather. Cutting trees and charcoal production for sale, even bushfires that destroy trees and bush, are also common. Soil erosion and silting of reservoirs are the consequences we see today. With funding from DFID under the Enhancing Resilience for Karamoja projects through the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, IIRR, IUCN, development partners, the central government, civil societies and local communities have been implementing disaster risk reduction actions and solutions.
The International Institute of Rural Reconstruction, IIRR, particularly in this project, we're working with vulnerable communities to create impact on the problems that they face, specifically climate change, which is very high on the global agenda and is also on the global sustainable development goals.
The overall aim of the project was to strengthen adaptive capacities of communities and local governments to effectively respond to climate risks.
Recently, there has been a need to address resilience. And the resilience components, which is where this particular project that IIRR is involved in Karamoja, comes in. Then you have the early warning system, which we felt was necessary, because if the people are to be resilient, they have to know when to do what.
4 major themes formed the basis of the project. These themes were watershed status assessment and mapping for baseline information and identification of hotspots, capacity needs assessment to identify gaps within communities and local governments, support to district local governments to develop and implement integrated microcatchment management plans, and reviewing to update contingency plans for each of the 7 districts. The strategy combined modeling and catchment approaches to reduce risks of droughts and floods. For example, construction of water retention ditches and stone bands that served tons of topsoil in several hotspots. Riverbank expansion that saved life and restored thousands of croplands. Sets of culvert bridges that made access easy to social services for thousands. Restoration of riverbanks that improved water and pasture for livestock. Thousands of woodlots that added millions of tree species into the rangeland systems. And live fencing of homesteads, corrals and gardens to reduce demand on wood. Also, capacity of these cattle dependents was built in disease surveillance and treatment of sick animals so that part of their culture can continue. To diversify people's livelihoods and help them fulfill their adaptation plans, 2 social protection mechanisms were key in the project. They were Cash for Work and Community Environment Conservation Fund. This global story isn't just local and particular. It's about our shared fate. Above all, it's about contingency planning and mitigation strategy against disasters.
Over 70% of the disasters that this country experiences are climate induced. So there is need for communities and local authorities in contingency planning. And that's why in the Office of the Prime Minister, we are saying that $1 invested in contingency planning, $1 invested in preparedness or mitigation can save $7 that would have been invested in recovery.